Oh, hello there. This is modern day Stephanie telling you that the episode you are about to listen to was originally posted early November 2020, so almost 5 years ago. And there has been so many new listeners since then. I don't know how many of those new listeners have gone back and listened to, years worth of old episodes. But I thought it would be fun, at least for fall, to post some great older episodes that I don't want to be lost to time. This one was so fun. I recorded with Will and Kristen from the fantastic Guide to the Unknown podcast. It is a podcast that I still regularly listen to, and you should too if you like kind of paranormal with a little bit of pop culture, like they did recent episodes on Annabelle the Doll. They have a series where they talk about that show, Celebrity Ghost Stories, and they'll talk about the different segments. They currently have a series where they are making their way through the Wikipedia listings of all of the urban legends. They're a great podcast. And Will was one of the writers on the Screambox original horror series, The Trouble with Tessa, that I am definitely hoping to watch this fall. It sounds perfect. This episode was a lot of fun. We read Robert Bloch's Psycho books. So that is Psycho, Psycho 2, Psycho Murder House, and maybe Will throws in a bonus Psycho book in the Psycho literary universe. Anyway, with that being said, I hope you enjoy the throwback episode. I think perhaps all of us go a little crazy at times. Robert Bloch, Psycho. Welcome to Books in the Freezer, a podcast dedicated to the deliciously disturbing world of horror fiction. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I'm joined by Kristen and Will from Guide to the Unknown to talk about whether a boy's best friend really is his mother. That's right, we're covering Robert Bloch's Psycho Trilogy, ? We'll talk about it today. Thank you for joining me today for this.
Thank you so much for having us.
Are you saying that to the listener as apology? Thank you for doing this. I'm sorry this is happening. No, thank you very much for having us.
Oh man, I feel really bad if someone is like searching for any podcast episodes on the Psycho books and they're thinking they're going to get this really loving look at these books. I'm sorry. I'm going to be upfront. I love the first one, not huge on the other two.
Oh, I think that's 100% correct. I think that's how the world feels.
Yes, that's how I feel as well. The first one's so good that I feel like it makes the other two even worse because you would expect that there be some sort of tone kept or some sort of standard held, and it's just not there.
It's just not there.
They don't even feel like Psycho books. Like they feel like different kinds of books that Psycho was shoehorned into. Like Norman Bates can be tangentially connected to this, so I may as well do it because Psycho was such a hit, but they don't feel right.
No, and they tonally are so different because the first one is like psychological horror. It's like this very small, I feel like very well crafted, very carefully thought out book. Then the second one I feel like is trying to be a slasher. And then the third one is like a murder mystery. Like they are just all over the place. I'm like, what even is this?
There's no identity across the board. I've got I have a very weird fascination with the Psycho franchise because I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider it a franchise. Obviously, I mean, maybe now with Bates Motel.
Maybe, but I can see why they wouldn't necessarily, because the first one was so popular that a lot of people don't even know that others exist. And I feel like that goes for the books and the movies. Yes. So I think you're right. I mean, I know that before I had read the book, I didn't know that there even was a book. And did you know that, Stephanie, going into it? Like, were you aware that the movie was based on a book?
I mean, not when I saw it. I saw it very young. So like as I started getting into reading, I knew it was a book. And then I wasn't aware that the Psycho movie had any sequels. But I've heard after looking into this that Psycho 2 the movie is a little more loved than Psycho 2 the book, which is very unrelated, which we can talk about. We can talk about how
wildly
the timeline there.
Wildly unrelated. Yeah, the movies and the books are completely distinct, with the sole connection being that Psycho the movie is based on Psycho the book. Psycho 2 the movie has nothing to do with Psycho 2 the book, and so on. Totally different universes.
Yeah, they totally diverge, and like the sequels for both get progressively less successful. So I think it wiped out the idea of it being a franchise at all, because in the public's knowledge, they're kind of not, in a way.
It's true, but I guess what is a franchise? You know, they're all under the same umbrella. They're not all connected.
Yeah, so it technically is a franchise, but I think because they kind of stunk, people like don't even know they were there because they just didn't get super popular. So there's just not an awareness that it exists, but I think it counts as a franchise.
Yeah.
Just public might not know that.
Yeah, I personally think so.
Yeah.
The movies have become kind of cult pieces. There are 4 movies. One of them, there's Psycho, then 20 plus years later, Psycho 2, Psycho 3, a made-for-TV movie of Psycho 4. And I think Psycho 2 is actually a very surprisingly decent watch, because it knows exactly what it is. It knows that it's a follow-up to one of the most important movies ever made. And it knows that it can't really go toe-to-toe with it. It can't live up to it at all. So it just kind of does something different. And I actually kind of respect Psycho 2.
Yeah.
So the movies are sort of still loved, at least in cult circles. But the books, that's one of the reasons that I was fascinated to talk about it on this show, is the books they're not known at all, the second 2, for good reason. But also, they exist. And it's kind of sad to me that no one knows that he wrote these.
I know, they're there.
Yeah, they're here.
How did you read the second book? Like, were you able to find a copy to read, or did you get it, on audiobook, or what was your deal?
The only way I could get either of the 2 sequels was only on Audible. So only on audiobook and only on Audible. No other audiobook service.
Yeah, Libro FM wasn't.
No, it wasn't anywhere. It wasn't on Scribd, just absolutely nowhere. And then I think physical copies were outrageous. So I think it's one of those, like, you have to stumble upon like a paperback at a used bookstore, basically.
I think that's some of the charm of it. There's like, it's sort of, this is not like a kind phrase.
Okay.
But there's like a junk literature vibe to them. And I remember being a kid growing up in a small town. We had a little used bookstore, and I never wanted to touch anything in there. Just like a little germaphobe kid. I just didn't trust other people's hands. Even less so now, actually.
About to say, this is your time.
Like, yeah.
But I remember we read these books, Psycho 2 and Psycho House, so long ago that I wanted to get back into that vibe of like, yeah, it's somebody else's paperback. And what if it's got, things scribbled in the margins and they're so not available.
Right.
That's actually some of their charm to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And also the cover of Psycho 2 in particular is so nuts to me. Like, we don't have a copy of it with this cover that I'm thinking of, but the cover that came out when it was originally published has this weird paper doll vibe. So it's a paper doll of like a man wearing a dress, basically like an old like dressing gown, and you can see the outline of undies in the dressing gown. Very strange. And then the second paper doll next to that is like a scantily clad babe paper doll. So I guess kind of like showing the multiple sides of Norman in a way, because it's him dressed up in like mother's nightgown, and then I guess underneath the nightgown stuff's going on. Okay. It's so odd, and it's so 80s and very charming.
Was there one with him in a habit?
Unfortunately, no. They left that to the imagination, surprisingly.
You would think, though, like with the marketing, I guess, if you call that the cover is sort of marketing.
Yeah.
Like the marketing knew better than the book what was up.
Yeah.
Like, have Norman dress up like Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror.
Yes, basically.
Like, sure, go gonzo, go weird. And the book, Psycho 2, flirts with weirdness, but doesn't commit at all. It's very odd.
It is so odd and kind of, I don't know, the only thing holding the three of them together is kind of the idea of Norman Bates, because in the third one, he's not even there.
No, he's not there at all. Yeah.
And then, I mean, spoiler alert, but listeners, like, just don't.
Yeah, you do. It's fine. Let us spoil it for you.
It's not worth it.
In the second one, like, we find out at the end of the novel, has been dead for most of the events of the novel.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Again, I will play devil's advocate maybe the whole way through of just like, because I fully acknowledge these are not good books at all. But like, for the sake of just truly devil's advocate, in Psycho, the thing that was the most applauded in Psycho is that Marion Crane, in the book, Mary Crane, is a central character and then is killed. And all of a sudden, the entire vibe of the book shifts to this guy, Norman Bates. Norman Bates, to us, is a towering, iconic horror literary figure. But in the book's language, he's just some guy. And we'd primarily been following Mary. So in Psycho 2, we go into it going, Norman. Mm-hmm. And the figure of Norman looms large. I think maybe what Robert Bloch was going for was, no, I'm taking him out.
Yeah.
Just like I took out Mary Crane.
Right, a similar switcheroo. So he thought maybe that he was being formulaic, but actually you're using that formula to take out the biggest character in the thing that we want to follow. So it's so weird.
The one thing I want.
Right.
You got rid of. Like in Psycho, you've got Mary, and she's fascinating because she's digging herself a grave. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating to watch her because she's found this lump sum of money landed in her lap, and she sort of schemes to, I wonder if I can keep it. And the scheme ends up getting her deeper and deeper and deeper, where she's getting herself into trouble. And then when she's killed, sort of the silver lining of it is, ooh, okay, you've shocked me, and that's the point. But also now here's a far more fascinating character. Let's follow his psychological bent. It's Norman Bates. Goodbye, Mary. Welcome, Norman Bates. And then in the sequel, it's like, yeah, that fascinating guy. We'll get rid of him and replace him with some guy. Right. It's not an even swap. It's not an even trade.
No, and then in the third one, there's some sort of weird supernatural aspect where there's like a demonologist and maybe the spirit of Norman Bates. What the?
I sense I may have made a mistake suggesting that we reread these. I both apologize, but also
you're welcome. Yeah.
You're welcome. No one reads these things. These have been forgotten.
Right, and this can be like cocktail party. Well, I mean, theoretically, Skype cocktail party fodder for anybody who's listening. Now they can have fun facts. I'm like, do you know there's a Psycho 2 and 3? First of all, do you know that Psycho is based on a book? Did you know that there's Psycho 2 and 3 and that they suck? And then they can talk about that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But we just kind of got into it. But for the listeners, do we maybe want to do a quick kind of synopsis about Psycho 2, and Psycho House? Just like a 2-sentence, like.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
what is going on?
Let's see. In Psycho, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, in the book, it's close to identical to the movie in all the major story beats. There is a woman, as Will just said, who stole money from her work. She's on the run, and she's going to hide out at a motel. She happens to pick exactly the wrong motel, and Norman Bates, the owner, kills her. Her sister comes looking for her. There's also a detective who is looking for her. And it's eventually discovered that Norman, who said that he lives with his mother and operates the hotel together, has actually been just doing it himself. His mother is dead. She's kind of an alter ego character for him. He kills other people, and then he winds up in a mental institution.
Yeah, and then from there, Psycho 2 picks up 20 plus years later, where Norman Bates has been in the mental institution. And evidently been something of a model inmate until two nuns come to visit, and he sees an opportunity, attacking them, killing them, dressing up as one of the nuns, and getting out. The majority of the book now follows his doctor, Dr. Adam Claiborne, who's trying to track down where Norman went now that he's gotten out. And he follows the trail of dead bodies, which include Sam and Lila from the first book, who had initially investigated the Norman crimes, and discovers a newspaper article that in Hollywood, a movie called Crazy Lady is being made. It's about Norman Bates. So Adam Claiborne figures Norman saw this news article. He must be going to Hollywood to stop the movie. And so he goes out to Hollywood, becomes part of the production of Crazy Lady, meets a director who's a dead ringer for Norman Bates, and murders are occurring. And you start thinking, is it the director? Is Norman the director? Maybe Norman will kill the director and take his place. However, by the end of the book, you find out there is no Norman. He died shortly after getting out of the asylum. And Adam Claiborne knew it. Our primary narration, our unreliable narrator, knew that Norman was dead, and it snapped his psyche. And he has now been acting as Norman. He's assumed a persona. Just like Norman became Mother, Adam Claiborne becomes Norman and conducted all the murders himself.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And then in Psycho House, it is now like 8 years after that. And somebody has built the old Norman Bates, the motel and the spooky house have long since burned down. So somebody's rebuilt them to turn them into a horror attraction. But when a young girl is killed in there, a reporter named Amy Haynes goes to the attraction to investigate what's going on. She's a crime reporter. And the book is largely about sort of the impact that Norman Bates had on the community, because we interact with like the sheriff and we meet a lot of the people who are behind the business decisions of opening a haunted amusement park.
We meet a lot of people.
Meet a
in
lot
the third
of
one.
people.
Did that jump out at you, Stephanie, that we're learning a lot of names?
Yeah, well, especially since it was on audio, I would have such a hard time. I'm like, wait, so this is another person? And I would be doing
Right.
dishes, and I'm like, where's a demonologist? Like, what is
Yes.
happening? I felt
Oh, yes.
so, like, lost.
You
Where
speak of Eric Dunstable, the
Of course.
demonologist.
Yeah.
You know, a normal human's name, Dunstable.
Dunstable. He's got a theory that maybe the spirit of Norman Bates is perhaps even a demonic figure that goes long back into the Bates family history. Maybe Norman died at the beginning of Psycho 2, and that demonic entity, that Norman spirit, entered Adam Claiborne. And maybe it's now been unleashed again. Adam Claiborne does sort of come back in this book briefly for a little sort of scare scene to continue that demon theory along. But it all culminates in, no, it was just this other guy that was purporting to investigate what was going on with Amy, and he was part of the business dealings of the spooky attraction, and that was the motive for all of his killing.
Yeah, it was very Scooby-Doo.
I was just
Scooby-Doo.
about to say that. It was a completely Scooby-Doo business-minded decision, wanting to scare the kids so that it drums up publicity, but like with none of the fun of Scooby-Doo.
And none of the like psychological bent of Psycho.
No.
The one at this point by the third book, the one of the other unifying things beyond the concept of Norman Bates is the idea of losing your identity or adopting someone else's identity. Norman with Mother,
Right.
Adam Claiborne with Norman, but now we've just got what was it? Hank Gibbs is the killer in Psycho House.
It is Gibbs.
Yeah.
I don't remember the
Gibbs.
first name. Yeah.
And he's just Hank Gibbs.
He just wants to take on the identity of a honcho macho.
Yeah,
He wants
exactly.
to be a bigwig.
Yeah, he wants to be big honcho.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's all 3 books. Good night.
That's what happens there.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Right. It'll give you nightmares of a different sort.
Did neither of you get any enjoyment out of Psycho itself? Should we spend time talking about Psycho, like the original Psycho book? There's so much positive to say about it.
I think it's great. Yeah.
It's so easily overlooked by the sort of train wreck of Psycho 2 and Psycho House.
It's easy to kind of like throw the baby out with the bathwater on it because the other two are so bad.
Yeah.
But Psycho, the original, is written really, really well. I really like Robert Bloch's writing style. Something also I will give all of them is that they are all short.
Yes.
And I
they're
do
very
like
short.
a short read. It may not have felt quite that way listening to it. It's not impossible. But to look at the books, they're not like super big tomes or anything.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But yeah, I think the first one's really, really good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's really well written from like even the very beginning. It starts with Norman Bates, who has been staying up late drinking and reading about mummification.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things in a book that he's been reading talks about how some Native American tribes, theoretically, I don't even know if this holds up or if this
real.
is from
Yeah.
reality, but in the book they talk about how mummified elders can be eventually used for musical instruments, and that the open mummified mouth, like when you bang on the chest, can create a sound, which is sort of breathing life into the dead,
Yeah.
in a way, which is what Norman is doing with Mother. She's literally mummified, but also he's bringing her back to life by becoming her.
Right.
Which I love that from the very start. It's like a really interesting sort of parallel.
I know. It's interesting to think about whether Norman even connects those dots in his own mind. It's just kind of an interest that he seems to have in general, and he might not even realize how that's relating to what he's doing.
Yeah.
And people do that all the time. So
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there's also just an interesting understanding of psychology in the first one.
Yes, it feels real. I you know, the best I ever did was like take like AP Psych in high school, and that was a million years ago, so I don't remember stuff. But I really like moments where in the first book Norman reflects on himself and thinks like, if I had to diagnose myself just off of reading these books, I would say maybe I have a form of schizophrenia. That's said in the book way before the twist is revealed.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's a lot of I don't know, identity work done there.
Yeah, and the way it's written, I mean, handling a twist like that, and I mean, it's such a property that's in the cultural zeitgeist. Like going into
Right.
it, any
Yeah.
modern reader is going to know the big twist. But I mean, going into it, because I read it for the first time for this Psycho one, the masterful way that the information is handled and the perspectives and things are talked about is done in a very masterful way. So I can see how that twist was very effective for people that didn't know it.
1,000%. At the time, it must have been mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been I truly saw Psycho way too young. You mentioned you saw Psycho young as well. I have no recollection of what I thought of the twist, or if I've just, to me, it feels like I've always known Norman is Mother.
right.
But even
Junior
reading the book,
high sleepover party, my friend had like a Alfred Hitchcock marathon at her house. That's what we did.
that's an awesome
I was about to
sleepover.
say that sleepover rules.
Sleepover slaps.
Well, I think that there were similar circumstances. I think I was having a sleepover where my friends and I were watching Psycho, and that's how Will saw it.
I don't even think so, because I think I was under 10. I think I was alone.
You talked about it on a previous podcast that that's what happened.
Did I? At
Yeah.
a sleepover?
Yeah, you said that me and my friends were watching it and that you caught some of it or something.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I was surprised.
Maybe I was lying, or maybe
Maybe.
I'm lying to myself now. I don't know. I can't remember that far back. But like, I think even knowing that Norman is Mother, the book is just as fun, if not maybe more fun, because you
Yeah,
get to
'cause-
see the foreshadowing.
You can kind of look out for it. I'm trying to think, were there any moments where you could see the foreshadowing that jump out to either of you guys? I wish I had taken a note on something like that.
Definitely. I mean, there's the whole, because we're in Norman's head a lot of the time, we tend to like jump into other people's bodies throughout the book, where we're following Mary, then we're following Lila, we're following Norman, and we're getting to hear their inner monologue. And Norman will be like, they can't know about Mother. And from his perspective, he's thinking she faked her death, and we're trying to make sure people don't know she's alive. But it's also very strategic doublespeak. And I think knowing doublespeak, where he will refer to how dangerous it would be for anybody to find out about Mother. And I don't know. There are a lot of little things, but I really think that like it's a rewarding read.
Yeah.
Even knowing the twist, you get to spot it all.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it.
It's really good. I feel like it's the way that he wrote Norman is really interesting. I feel like he's really layered. Like, you obviously know that there's something going on with him mentally, emotionally that's not good, but he's so self-aware, Norman, of what's going on. Like Will said, he kind of says that he kind of self-diagnoses as probably having some sort of schizophrenia. He reads psych books and he says he wishes that he could fix the way he feels.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Like, I think a lot of people can relate to things like that. And so you also spend a lot of time in his head, so it's so much easier to understand his state of mind than just this kind of like skinny turtlenecked dude eating sandwiches in the movie. Like, you kind of know what's going on with this guy, but at the same time, sometimes you're not in his head or hearing that kind of description, and he like flips on people and is like super angry in a way that you can no longer relate to.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this guy isn't just one thing. He's not just somebody with mental illness who wishes that he wasn't that way. Like, you can see him from an outside perspective and be like, this guy's being a total nightmare right now.
He's scary.
Right. He's got so much conflict even within himself. I think it's so interesting, and it makes it so weird that somebody, I think, who writes with so much nuance in the first book seemed to lose so much of that nuance in the second and third. It's such a steep drop off.
I think that's something else that fascinates me about it. Mm-hmm. I like that there's a drop off. I don't like that that's what the books became, but I like seeing the body of work.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I don't know if you guys read this, but I was reading that he was inspired by Ed Gein. Yeah, I didn't know that going into that. So the idea of someone who kind of looks like just an all-American boy next door could be a sinister serial killer, and also the mommy issues.
Oh,
Right.
totally. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's why a lot of people cite Psycho as like the beginning of the slasher boom. Like the idea of just an average person, especially in fiction for so long, and especially, fiction that became movies. At the time, there was a lot of, Frankenstein, monsters. But now it's just some guy. It's just a regular
Right.
old human who's so monstrous you can't even wrap your head around their psychology.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun thing to try to mimic. So many people have mimicked this. So many people have like picked up the ball and run with it from what Robert Bloch came up with. That again, it's just another similar sort of like, why couldn't he continue it himself?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't it work in Psycho 2?
I know. I don't know. I wonder, and I have no idea. I wonder if there's a little bit of not self-loathing, but like, you're like, oh, you guys expect this from me? You like this of me? Well, guess what? I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not always going to give you what you want. Self-sabotage is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of seems to it kind of seems to piss on the legacy of Psycho. I mean, he also like kills off Sam and Lila like right away.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like in the second book, it's a little bit of a send up of Hollywood and maybe like the Hollywood backstage experience. So first of all, the book is way more about that kind of thing, like behind the scenes of films, than it is about anything else in any big meaningful way. Obviously, there's the backdrop of killings and Norman Bates, but everything is revolving around this really insidious and toxic Hollywood experience. Yeah. So I wonder if, I don't know, it's a little bit meta to look at it this way, but I wonder if he had some experiences in Hollywood that weren't great, maybe connected to the movie Psycho. And so you're right. I think it might have been a little bit of a statement, like pissing on these things. Like, I'm going to kill off the things that you guys expect of me, that you like the best. And I'm talking about all these like bigwigs behind the scenes who are doing things wrong. It does seem like a very statement-y book, which may have taken away from some of the writing and artistry that could have been there, because maybe there was an agenda.
Yeah, I definitely felt that it was mean-spirited, to say the least. And also, there's just a lot of rape in here.
Oh my God.
Not into it. I mean, when he rapes the nun, I listened to this on audiobook, so I had a hard time like finding quotes or specific lines, but just the way that was described was seared into my brain forever and gave me like full body like bleh.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
pumping
pretty...
life into her. I was like,
yes.
oh, what is this? What is going on?
Also, I feel like that must have been brutal to listen to as opposed to read. Like, there's just something that's a little bit more visceral about hearing somebody say those words in your ear when you're trying to do the dishes, as opposed to like your dog is jumping on you and you're looking at a page that you can just kind of like turn. Like, it's intense.
I also think that there's like, that is something that feels to me like a misunderstanding of the Norman Bates that I thought I knew. Right? Like, that does not feel to me like it was part of his character in one necessarily. Like, he was triggered by his own sexuality.
Right.
Like, the whole idea in Psycho 1 of why he kills Mary Crane is he's staring at her through a peephole he drilled into the wall, and he sees her go to take a shower. And so I viewed then like him becoming mother and grabbing a knife as a way to not engage with his sexual feelings at all. He's like mega repressed, and this is how he expresses himself, is with a knife, which is insane. But like the like, I don't,
it's a total departure.
It's a departure from his character, and it makes you feel disgusting in your soul.
Yeah, and then he pictures his mom. Like, it's just, there's just so much.
It's
I know, and the director with his mom.
Yeah.
Vizzini or whatever his name is. Yeah. Like, what the hell is going on? I know that there are mommy issues in the first one, and that's a big thing about it, but I don't know. It's so weird. It's like he took away some things. He took away Sam, Lila. He basically took away Norman, but then like added on extra of the things we don't really want. Like, I didn't really want to expound on the icky Oedipal factor of Psycho in Psycho 2 and make it more visceral and disgusting.
Yeah, I can say, so Psycho 2, the movie, is also 20 years later. It can be argued, and I think many people have, that Robert Bloch wrote his version of Psycho 2 to combat the Psycho 2 that was going to go out into theaters.
Yeah, like Stephen King having the Shining miniseries on TV, as opposed to the
like
movie.
A rebuttal.
Yeah, it says here from the Wikipedia, the novel was completed before the screenplay was written for the unrelated 1983 film Psycho 2. And according to Bloch, Universal Studios loathed the novel, which was intended to critique Hollywood splatter films, and a different story was created for the film, and Bloch was not invited to any screenings.
Makes sense. I think
it's so weird, though.
Yeah, I think that also, Psycho, I don't remember when Psycho was written, but the movie Psycho came out in 1960.
It was 1959, I think.
It's 1959? Wow, so 1 year later they made that movie.
Right. Am I wrong? You guys can find out.
Hitchcock had also made sure that all copies of Psycho were basically unavailable so that people couldn't have the movie spoiled. And so I think that the devaluing of Psycho the book so that Psycho the movie could get all the praise probably was one of the first of many blows to Robert Bloch's ego.
I didn't know that happened.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hitchcock made sure that nobody could get their hands on it.
Yeah, because he didn't want the ending spoiled. He wanted it to be all in the movie.
Which is funny, too, because Alfred Hitchcock just picked up Psycho at an airport. Like, so had he not gotten his chance to read it, he wouldn't have fallen in love with it. Like, Hitchcock almost sort of stole Psycho.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the entire, like, slasher boom and, like, competing psychopaths in movies. I almost feel like Robert Bloch was like, no, Norman Bates was the first. And now movies have gotten so graphic, I can outdo that. And I don't know, made this book graphic in very unappealing ways, which tells me he doesn't understand his own characters.
Right, I missed the point.
And he doesn't understand what people like about visceral horror in film. But Psycho 2, the movie, is very much a psychological piece. Norman Bates has gotten out of the asylum 20 plus years later, and he is allowed to go back home, and he is struggling to maintain his sanity. He thinks that he can be better, that he may be cured. And yet he goes home, and there are all these reminders of Mother all over the place, and then murders are occurring, and he starts to worry that he's behind it. It's a really odd thing to do, to have your killer from 1 come back in 2 and be like, I really hope it's not me. And the entire movie follows that sort of, I don't know, that thread. And it's so much more interesting and sort of sad and scary.
Yeah, and it's Anthony Perkins still.
Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
It continues like the psychological bent, whereas this book, I think, is more about supposed to be some sort of a thrill. which Psycho is not a thrilling book.
Yeah.
No.
Anthony or Robert Bloch's writing style is not thrilling. Most scenes of his book are people either thinking like and having like a long inner monologue or just two people talking. Like the most telling thing is like in Psycho House, when the reveal of who the killer is happens, it's a character walks into a room, almost gets stabbed, someone gets shot, but then it just sort of dreamlike floats into the like, and then 3 days had gone by. And then the rest of the book is two characters in a room going, so what happened and why? it's just characters explaining what happened because Robert Bloch can't write action. And so Psycho 2 taking place on like the film set that's supposed to be Psycho could be really fun.
It could be.
But it's not because he can only figure out how to write people who are like walking down the street of Los Angeles thinking about Norman Bates.
Yeah, and then like free associating, like I feel they're like shadows, dark shadows, long darkness, people of dark. Like it's just a lot
Yes.
of weird.
1,000%.
Yes.
Yeah, I came up with a game.
we wanted to float it to you. We could not do it, obviously, but we thought we'd float the idea of a game to you. I have some quotes here from Psycho, the original book, and I'm thinking about giving each of us a quote, and then you like block it up. So like the first example would be, I'll do this one. The quote, I think perhaps all of us go a little crazy at times. Times. They are a changin'. Change. It comes every so often. We have no control. Control. A construct. He would just like take the last word of a string of words and then keep going with it.
I both like it and can't stand it.
Yes. Correct.
It was just one of those things I noticed. I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. Oh, this is a thing that we're going to continue to do now. Okay.
Yeah. Every
this is
character
happening.
does it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single character has the exact same language.
Right.
Language. Well, it's the way that we communicate with others, but what about the way we communicate with ourselves? Selves. Mm-hmm. Who really are we underneath it all? The notion of the self, who I am, who you are. Isn't it all just a joke? Jokes.
See, like this. Things like this. Do you want me to throw you one and you can see what you can do?
Sure. I will say right now, not great on my feet, but we will go.
Not a problem.
I'm even
Not
more
a problem.
excited now.
Yeah, truly that I can't imagine a better setup for this or more in keeping with the way that these books kind of go. Okay, let's see. Magic, that's just a label, you know, completely meaningless. It wasn't so very long ago that people were saying that electricity was magic.
Magic. Tricks. Full of tricks, trick or treats. Yeah, see,
Yeah, there you go.
Great.
Perfect.
No, that's it.
Perfect. You did it.
That's a whole paragraph
Yes.
in, I would say, Psycho, the best
Yes.
of the books. So you win.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Marvelous.
I want to mention something that does kind of tie at least 1 to 3 in the quote that I just read where he's talking about magic. He's talking about how he thinks that he has been able to bring his mother back to life. And so he's saying you can call it magic, you can call it whatever you want. Basically, it's like electricity. You can turn it on and off. You can turn life on and off. So if he's talking about the concept of magic, and I think he even says like you could call it a cult, whatever, he's aware and maybe a little interested in that sort of stuff. So maybe there's a little bit of a thematic tied to the demonologist in
think-
book 3. Not really, but there is a mention of like magic and occultism. I'm not going to go so far to say that I think that was deliberately planted, but I did notice that it was there. And so you could generously maybe say.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think any of that obviously is literally happening, but I do think the idea of like the idea of possession as it's brought up in Psycho House is obviously outrageous. I can't even imagine that Robert Bloch really wanted people to spend too much time theorizing that the spirit of Norman Bates is doing anything.
Well, it was also introduced so late into the story.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, we're at. That's why I was like, I'm sorry, we're adding what now?
Yeah, we're doing what?
It's just a loony theory that's floated by a character. You know, it's not really part of the fabric of the story. It's just that this guy, Eric Dunstable, totally normal person with a totally normal name.
Completely everyday name, completely everyday job.
Yeah, he's just fascinated by the macabre. And it's, you know, it's fine, I guess, for the character to posit the theory. But I do think that it's appropriate for us all to dismiss the theory. And I don't even think Robert Bloch wants to dwell on it. I think that what it serves to do is the metaphorical idea of Norman Bates hanging over all of the following proceedings. Like Psycho, the book series, is almost nothing. There's almost no fabric to it except for the idea of like the domino effect. Because Norman Bates was caught and you know, found out to be this larger than life figure, movies are made of him. Attractions are made of him. And who are the kinds of people that want to make a living dealing with the sort of horrible stuff that Norman Bates was up to? I think that's the idea behind the two sequels, is that, especially with like the really cheesy final line of Psycho House, like I think the idea is that you have to be a little nuts to want to live, make a living off of Norman Bates's murders and Norman Bates pretending to be Mother and celebrating that. It's like, to me, it's like sort of like the modern fascination with true crime a little bit. Personally, I kind of like true crime. I mostly don't. Mostly it makes me feel bad because these are real people who have killed each other.
I have such a hard time with this because I feel the same way. Like I get the certain cases, the morbid fascination, but most of the time I'm just bummed out. Like the new Unsolved Mysteries came out on Netflix. Right. I was like, cool, like I'm gonna get my spook on, I'm gonna have my bowl of popcorn, and then I see a guy crying because his mother was murdered. I'm like, oh, this is straight up not a good time.
No, it's heartbreaking. Totally. I know. I was so disappointed that I haven't watched the second round of them that came out yet, but
is it out already?
It came out on the 19th.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So you're on the same page that I am. Yeah. I was so disappointed.
I knew it was this month.
Yeah, right. I was so disappointed that there weren't more fun segments from the show, like where the segment from the original show where they're like investigating the Queen Mary ghost ship and they're like wet footprints of a ghost. I want that. I don't really want to see the mother crying over her dead son. I'm so sorry that happened, and I'm glad that it's getting some publicity, so maybe something can happen. But like, that's not really a fun, jazzy time to me anymore.
It's not entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
It's a bummer.
I don't begrudge anybody for enjoying it.
I used to more. I think as I got older, it became more real to me or something like that. I don't know. I used to be more interested in it and I guess entertained by it, but now it's not so much.
Yeah, that's why I feel like the true focal point for Psycho 2 and Psycho House, where it's like a movie is being made and then a theme park thing is being made, that should be about like the families of the victims, you know?
Well, there's also like Amelia's working on the book too about the case.
Oh yeah,
that's like
exactly.
Another layer of it.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, how can we weave the Norman Bates story into different kinds of entertainment? Like, that's another reason why I think it's sort of oddly inappropriate to kill Lila and Sam at the beginning of Psycho 2 is what I want to know, what does she have to say about this movie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like the family of...
It's the story of her sister's murder. That's so much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
And to just have it be that, no, we're going to dispatch everything you liked from 1 and start from scratch in 2 and really only deal with the crew of the movie, who for most people it's really hard to relate to the producer and the writer working on something. It's just not, you know, Psycho is a very small story and it's pretty relatable. You know, like I don't work in a motel, but I do know what it's like to like work a day. And so Norman Bates as somebody that's like got to just do his job and is balancing his weird psycho life on the side. Like to a certain extent, you at least understand, even if you can't fully empathize with that. But by the time that you're getting to talk about, you know, the contracts that are being done to make the theme park happen, this is like an alien story to me. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't care how much it costs to get your wax work, Norman Bates. I don't like you for doing this at all.
I will say, going into it, reading the synopses, I expected to have a little more fun because the second one is about like a movie about it. And then the third one, like I will say right now, I really like the early 2000s movie House of Wax. And so
Sure.
Yeah.
And so this had kind of that vibe. And I'm like, all right, we're going to get spooky. We have like a haunted house attraction. Like something happens right at the beginning. Okay. And then that's not used at all.
No, you're completely right. The synopses for both of those sound so good. I was so ready for like a campy good time with Psycho 2. I was like, this is going to be bonkers. Norman goes to Hollywood? What?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you thought this, Stephanie. You know how they kept talking about how the director, Vizzini or whatever, looked like Norman?
Yes.
Did you think that was going to be Norman? Or something, something. Nothing is done with that. It just happens that this guy just kind of looks like Norman, and it's of like no import. It's so weird.
But then he had like a lot of weird similarities. Like he also had the mom issues and like was also just like a straight up like bad person. I don't know. I'm like, why?
Right.
Why
But,
do
like,
they look
why?
alike? Why?
And
It's
also
like a weird red herring, I guess.
he was
Yes.
also going to kill the lead actress.
Yes.
He was. So there are two killers in Psycho 2.
Who look like that? Who like look? Well, that's not the same
three
killer.
then.
That's right.
I wasn't
but
even thinking about Norman Bates.
I know,
I was thinking about
yeah.
Adam Claiborne Vizzini, like
Yes.
at the end as like two murderers are at the end of this book. It's just weird. It's a lot of coincidence. It feels very coincidental.
Yeah.
Awfully convenient. I also want to mention that with Claiborne's name, Robert Bloch also does one of those Blochisms things. He says, Adam Claiborne, Clay-born, first man, born of clay. Whoo boy.
To what
You
does
know
that mean?
he was so proud of himself for that. Like
Yes.
I hear the pat on the back.
Yes, that's a job well done.
Claiborne. Okay.
It's like leaning back in your chair, putting your hands on the back of your head like,
You've done it again, Bloch.
ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Oh my god, I remember that quote too. Like right when you started that sentence, I knew where you were
Right.
going. I'm like,
It's
Yeah.
it's hard to believe and hard to forget.
That's
I
why.
think.
That's why even like the last line of Psycho House is like a groaner.
Is
So Amy Haynes is talking to Dr. Steiner, who was one of Norman Bates's psychiatrists from the very beginning. So he's here all the way at the end. And he goes, she's writing her book about Norman. And he says, let me make a suggestion. When you're finished, maybe you can write another book about life in the asylum. She asks, here? No. Steiner gestured toward the window. Out there.
yeah.
All the world is an asylum.
I was thinking that was the end of the second one. I didn't realize that's how we end everything.
The whole world is
Gestures
gone mad.
broadly, all this.
All this. This is fine. Yeah, listen, Steiner wasn't wrong.
No.
Are we going to say that Dr. Steiner was wrong? We're not in the asylum? I feel like an inmate. Is there any enjoyment that either of you got out of the later two? Psycho 1 is its own animal, right? We all agree that
Yes.
Psycho 1 is good, if not great.
I would say yes. I think it's great.
Okay.
yes, I would say it's great too.
Even the like intellectual exercise of engaging in these things that no one even knows exists.
I do like that I didn't know that they existed for a very long time, and now I know what they are, and I can talk about them
Do you
with
wish-
Stephanie and
Yes.
other people.
Do you
Yes.
wish you still thought they didn't exist?
It's a tough question. No, I'm glad I read it. Now I feel like I have engaged with the material. Now I can talk about it. I guess who was looking for this? I don't know. But if anyone is,
True.
I can now engage in that conversation.
We were clearly.
There's got to be people that are Googling it like me, right? Like, so some of my interest in this, even to begin with, was that I found out they existed, and I was going crazy that you can't get any info.
Yeah.
It's also only recently, like in the last few years, that people are talking about Psycho 2, and like there's a synopsis on Wikipedia. There's still nothing for Psycho House. So like at a certain point, I was just like, where is this information being kept Why isn't anyone talking about them? So I read them, and then I was like, oh, that's why.
Do you feel we are now the keepers of this information?
I think we're
Stephanie, you and I are.
I think we're part of a select small group.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing I
people.
could find was this like Publisher's Weekly review. Bloch's latest horror story is a disappointing effort, despite his attempt to exploit the character of Norman Bates of Psycho fame.
That's the ironic thing. For dealing in stories about people that are exploiting the story and character of Norman Bates, is he doing that as well?
Right.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he himself.
Isn't that
Glass houses, Bloch?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird though? Like he could have gone ahead and written Hannibal Rising. He could have written a prequel, a Norman prequel. He didn't. He always wrote like the next latest thing. So
Yeah, you would think it'd be really tempting to go prequel and like see life with like Mother as she was alive, because we never see her alive.
Which is why I feel like he had an agenda for these books. I think that the agenda for Psycho 2 is fairly abundantly clear. It's a skewering of Hollywood. It's a takedown. I don't know what the agenda is with Psycho House. I don't understand it. But if you're going to write more Norman Bates stuff, why would you pick 30 years after he's dead to tell that story? It just feels weird to me. It's got to be, it feels like, weirdly, Psycho House feels like a watered down Psycho 2. Well, I can't do movie anymore. What's another thing that creates a facsimile of a story? I guess an amusement park?
Yeah.
A haunted house? Also, in Psycho, they make a big deal out of the fact that the main freeway used to be where the Bates Motel was, but now a new freeway was built, and so nobody goes down the road that leads to the Bates Motel. It's a dead end. It's a dirt road. It's nothing. Why would you ever build an attraction there?
That's the best place for an attraction,
Yeah.
somewhere that no one ever goes, like a service road. Yeah.
Especially
Isn't that
since they
weird?
had to build it from scratch. They could put it anywhere in the town. They don't need to put it literally where it was.
Yeah, right.
No
It's a
one's gonna know.
recreation.
1,000%. I think that even in Psycho 2, that's why he burned the motel down. I think Robert Bloch wanted to destroy the world in Psycho 2. He killed all the characters, and he even says someone burned down Mother's house. He wants it all gone. And that's interesting to me.
It is interesting. I think it's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there was stuff that he was playing with in Psycho House. Like, I mean, I know Gibbs ends up being the bad guy, but he does have a bit to say on like living in a town that's kind of known for just this awful thing and like the shadow of that. And there's like little things like that, but just we don't go too deep into that.
Right. They're
I know.
interesting, but they're not really dug into.
And there's such an opportunity to as well, because I do think it's interesting to explore the community that is, I don't know, suffering under this, now legend of Norman Bates, even decades later. That's interesting to see how it trickles down, but it's not explored.
No.
Also, the way that like Amy is treated in the town, and I want to say maybe the idea of feminism in general, in Psycho House is not great. Not great.
Not loving a sister doing it for herself. The town.
She just gets hate from everyone. Even I cannot remember like the secretary's name, who was just like so mean to her.
I know.
Yeah, people are definitely really either dismissive or aggressive.
Yes.
Like not into this woman who's like really going for it.
Another reason why I miss Lila. Lila in the first book is like action oriented and is sick of it. She at a certain point, like the sheriff keeps being like, well, let's wait and see how this plays out. And she's like, why do you keep wanting to wait? I'm sick of waiting. We have to do something. I'm sure this guy's involved in my sister's death. She was like a very proactive, interesting character. Her being wiped out is, I think, bigger than
Such a
getting rid of
mistake.
Norman Bates almost is a huge mistake.
I completely agree. I think she was so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially since the sheriff was totally under Norman's spell, and he's like, that kid, he's not doing
What do you
anything.
mean that? You mean that guy? No, that guy's cool.
Oh, look, his mom's right there. He hangs out with her all the time.
I'm pretty sure he's fine.
I would not worry about him.
Yeah.
Do you have any curiosity about Psycho Sanitarium, the fourth book, not written by Robert Bloch, so it's sort of its own animal?
I have a little bit. So that's why I said up top, like, trilogy question mark, which I hesitate to
Right.
even call it a trilogy because this was not planned out. This was just like, I don't know, I guess I'll write another
You're
one.
right. It is just kind of 3 books.
Technically, 3 books are
Yeah.
a trilogy, I guess.
They technically are, but it
In
doesn't
the
feel like
technical
a
sense of the word.
Yes, certainly. No, I think you're right. I think trilogy question mark is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Psychosanitarium.
Yeah, I haven't read this. You, Stephanie, haven't read this either, right? But Will has. So
I certainly have.
What do you got?
You will have all the same problems with Psychosanitarium.
Ooh,
Even
good
with
tagline.
a different author?
Even with a different author. It's part of the DNA of the franchise, I guess. If you loved Psycho and you were mystified by Psycho 2 and Psycho House, wait till you read Psychosanitarium. It's bewildering. Befuddling. Falls into all the same old traps.
Sold.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
there.
I mean, we're already in this deep.
Do you want spoilers?
Yes.
Yes.
You do? Okay. All right. It takes place in continuity with the 3 books. It takes place after Psycho and before Psycho 2. So Norman is still in the insane asylum. And we are primarily concerned with a shocking revelation. Norman has a brother. His brother, I think it's a twin brother.
Of
Really?
Course. Of
Yes,
course.
and he's visiting Norman, and people are dying, and Norman doesn't want to believe his brother is behind it all. And he keeps talking to a psychiatrist who's not Steiner and is not Adam Claiborne.
Not
though I
Born
do
of
think
Clay.
they both have cameos in it. It all amounts to the following big shockaroo. There is no brother. This other psychiatrist, this other new psychiatrist created for this book,
Stephanie is fatigued and bewildered.
has
Yeah,
been
you can't hear my head
But you
just
can
falling
feel
into
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this other psychiatrist has been somehow like hypnotizing Norman so that Norman will think the psychiatrist is his brother for questionable purposes. The end.
When was this written?
2016 or something like that.
Yeah, like
No,
not a long time
no.
ago.
Oh yeah, like very, very, very recently. Very recently. And I read it because I'm a major completionist. I have a very hard time stopping like my exploration of like a franchise if I'm like most of the way through. And so I read it and I was like the entire way I was like, first of all, never had a brother. No way. I refuse to believe the brother angle at all.
No.
And then by the end I was like, again, we're gonna do the same. Like someone's pulling the wool over Norman's eyes. It's like another. It's also another psychiatrist who's behind it all. It's like I just don't. Why are all of the psychiatrists in Fairvale insane?
I know. They need to lose their licenses.
Doesn't it seem like too much?
Yes. One psychiatrist is telling him he's his brother. The other is becoming him.
Yeah. Oh, good news as well. You'll love this. Adam Claiborne ain't got nothing on Norman Bates' twin brother, Robert Newman.
Oh my
Kristen,
God.
what do you see in the last name there?
Oh boy.
Robert Newman. New man.
My God. Dun dun.
Man. Oh my God.
It's
It's not a light hand. It's a heavy hand.
oh, it's a heavy hand, all right.
Woo.
Oh my.
It was rough. 2016. 2016 is when this book was written.
I was
no
gonna
word
say
on a Psycho
like
5.
the 90s. I'm like, someone
Right.
watched Fight Club. Like,
Oh my God. A Norman Bates Fight Club?
This is a trope I'm not into. It comes up in a lot of things in horror a lot too. That somebody you think is a person is a figment of an imagination.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on record as saying that I don't care for that.
There should
It's not for me usually.
there should have been a gang in Fairvale inspired by Norman called the Mothers, and they all wear
my God.
90s. And they terrorize the streets.
And heavy facial powder and rouge cheeks.
Yes.
yeah.
That would scare me, honestly. That'd probably be an effective gang. I would run the other way.
Terrified.
I wonder if they'd stay true to character, and if you ran, you're all sex, they shuffle
Yeah.
after you. Like, how committed are the mothers?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They have walkers.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So they're like
Walkers.
committed.
Come back to me, boy. They're trying to get your money.
Also, they wouldn't hurt a fly, so we really have nothing to worry about from the mothers.
Yeah, you're right.
They're a non-threatening gang. They just kind of catch you off guard a little bit when you're coming around a corner. Ah! But then you can just keep walking. It's fine. They're not going to hurt you. They don't move fast anyway. It's all good.
They got away again.
Well, I hope the poor soul that typed in Psycho House into their podcatcher to listen to an episode about it.
I know.
That's what they wanted.
I know. I hope that we didn't disappoint this poor soul. Maybe it's somebody who read it and they just want to commiserate with others. That's the best case scenario. But you know what? You're allowed to like what you like. There are things that I like that other people, I bet there's a podcast about how much it sucks. So, you know, it's all just subject to opinion.
It is. Like when I rated it on Goodreads, someone commented that they really liked Psycho 2 and that Psycho 2 was pretty good. So there are fans.
I know.
There are fans.
There are. I was looking at the Goodreads reviews for Psycho 2 and Psycho House, and it seems to be one of those things where it's not all the way, obviously, but there are a lot of 1 stars and then a surprising number of 5 stars.
Yeah.
And that could even just mean 2 of them, but I still saw them.
Yeah.
What would you give
Oh my God.
these books?
Well, I would give Psycho 5 stars. I think it's
I would
really
give Psycho
good.
5 stars. I love Psycho.
Oh God. I'm terrible at rating things anyway, though. Psycho 2, I guess I would give 2 in order to give Psycho House then 1. Or are they the same to me, but they're just different? They might be both 2. Hard to say.
What did you give Psycho to,
I'm
Stephanie?
trying to remember. Psycho 2, I think I gave 1.5, or like, I know you can't do half stars on Goodreads, but
Generous, though.
yeah, 1.5
Yeah.
and then 1 to House.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
we're
just
kind of
felt
on
like
the same
it needed
page.
that more.
Right. That's the thing. I feel like it edges out Psycho House slightly, but not by a whole lot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
spiritually, I would say I'm also at 1.5.
I think, I'm gonna be completely honest with you both.
Okay, I'm ready.
For a moment, I considered Psycho House. I think it has to be a 1. I almost wanted to give Psycho 2 a 3.
Okay, look. Again,
Just
all
a valid
opinion.
opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Just for the sheer audacity of what he may have intended.
It is audacious.
It's audacious.
I can see that being worth a star.
It's unusual. I don't really know that I would say what I have for these books is respect, but they're major curiosity pieces to me.
Yeah.
I think that they're fascinating tomes in the iconic legacy of Psycho. They exist. Perhaps they shouldn't, but they do. And so I nobody accidentally writes a book.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's got to be something in them of worth. I'm also, as an individual, I do have the habit of like exonerating an entire movie because I like one scene of it or something like that. And so I think that's why I can be pretty forgiving of Psycho 2, because I can see the attempt at making a statement. Psycho House, I really struggle with. I think that it really, to me, just plays like trying to do what Psycho 2 had already done. It's just another takedown of entertainment, in a way. I really almost feel like maybe Psycho House could have been improved if it knew about true crime.
Yeah.
Like if that was
they
the
knew it was
point
coming.
that it was trying to make, is that like turning murder into entertainment is dangerous. Like Hollywood as fabricating things for the sake of entertainment, but true crime in terms of no, just present the story as is. You don't have to change the murder story, but people will love it. People will eat it up.
Yeah.
That's what it maybe could have been, but it doesn't do that, obviously.
It
So
like,
it's-
flirted with that idea with Amelia, but yeah, I don't think true crime was as big in 90, right? That's when he wrote this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly I don't think like the term was not what it became here in like the 2010s. But like it's certainly like people were interested in, The Stranger Beside Me about Ted Bundy.
Yeah, there have been true crime paperbacks forever. So it's a thing, but it definitely wasn't as popular. And because it wasn't as popular, people didn't have as many questions about kind of the morality behind it. So I think we just weren't really there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, which is interesting considering this is all based on Ed Gein. So
Right. I know there are
yeah.
clear true crime roots. Yeah.
True.
Well, as is books in the freezer fashion, what is your chilling obsession?
I am going to say my chilling obsession lately has been, we can't really easily go to theme parks or anything like that. But I don't know if people know this, so it's kind of also just passing on a tip. You can look up like walkthrough, so to speak, of different amusement park rides on YouTube. And there are YouTubers who do them and make them so cinematic and so cool. And so my chilling obsession is looking up walkthroughs of the Haunted Mansion, Disney's ride, like throughout the world, because people take in cameras with audio and everything, and you can like feel like you're on a doom buggy looking at all the stuff. And it is awesome. I highly recommend it. We did an episode of Guides to the Unknown where we talked about all of the haunted mansions throughout the world, and we got to basically, it's not the same experience, but basically go through them via the magic of YouTube. And it's such a cool thing. So I'm very into that.
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh my God, look it up. Just look up like the Haunted Mansion in YouTube. You'll also find, which I'm also a fan of, different like ambiance videos for the Haunted Mansion. So while you're working or whatever, there could be like Haunted Mansion music and a wolf howling and like thunder and stuff in the background, or when you're reading. But yeah, look for things that say, I guess ride through is what they would say. But they have different plot lines for Haunted Mansions at different international Disneys where they look totally different. And it's really, really cool. And we talk about like the plot lines of them on that episode too. But like look that up on YouTube and just let yourself go through it and just forget the world for a moment.
It's cool. Some of them even have like storylines and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're shot in 4K. And
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, they're crazy.
No, it's like dead serious.
It's really cool. And my obsession right now, I recently finished Haunting of Bly Manor, which I loved. But one of the things right now that I'm actually really into is my wife, Allie, and I keep listening to just like picking an audiobook. And she's majorly into knitting, and we've got a baby coming in February, so she's making like a sweater like a day almost, and then I'll be writing or playing a game or some other dopey thing. But we just finished The Outsider by Stephen King, which I'm not usually the biggest Stephen King fan, but for whatever reason, I'm on a major Stephen King kick. The Outsider I thought was incredible, and it sort of is about people slowly coming to the realization and accepting that the paranormal could be behind these crimes, and like the slow process of how long does it take somebody who's a staunch non-believer to finally buy in. And now we're listening to The Stand, which is about a global pandemic, which is pretty disturbing. But it is what I'm up to.
Have you seen the HBO series for The Outsider?
Yes, I saw it before I read the book, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Have you read the book, Stephanie, The Outsider?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I remember I was like down to the wire trying to get it read before the first episode dropped on HBO. Because I have like, about certain things, I have like a thing about that. I'm like, I need to read it before I watch it. If it's out there, like I'm going to try.
I get like that too.
And I know we jumped like right into the book discussion, so we didn't get to talk about your podcast. So please tell our listeners about Guide to the Unknown.
Yeah, sure. So we talk about basically anything that's spooky and or mysterious, but we kind of have a pop culture bent where we end up seeing where that thing has been talked about in movies or TV shows, podcasts or whatever. And it's super fun. Will and I are brother and sister, and we pick one topic per episode, and each of us come at it from a different angle. And we've been going for about 3 years now. So we have 150 something episodes that are in audio, and they're also on video on youtube.com/talkbomb. So you can watch us talk.
Yeah, but we've covered like obscure folkloric creatures. We've covered big iconic cryptids like the Mothman. We've talked about the real events behind the Conjuring movies. We really run a pretty broad gamut of things on Guide to the Unknown, because more than anything else, I think it's about Kristen and me like learning about folklore and horror and movies and just having fun while doing it, because we're just big horror fans.
Yeah, and like telling each other about them and geeking out about it, but at the same time it's telling everybody else too. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys' like last episode was like TV slashers.
Yeah, we're doing a whole thing for October here, and I always, for some reason in my head, I keep being like, "We are here right now in 2020." I'm very
wanna,
aware
like,
of
date it.
future listeners for some reason lately, but like we're doing a whole thing for Slashtober. We've called it. A listener came up with the name, and we just loved it.
Yeah.
But so we're covering like slashers specifically, which is another reason why sort of Psycho was kind of appropriate here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And we have a new tradition here on Books in the Freezer. You know, we ask our guests what their final girl song would be, because we have a playlist on Spotify. So, what's your final girl song?
Okay. Mine is like a really kind of like random song. When I was thinking about what to pick, I was like, okay, what songs that you like hyped up or whatever? And I was like, okay, what are the kinds of songs that I'm driving in the car when it comes on? I automatically, like a dork, picture myself like I'm at the MTV not the Video Music Awards, the Movie Awards. Okay. They've just announced like Kristen Anderson for like Best Newcomer. And then what's the song that's going to pump me up as I go up to the stage? And I thought of this song by Santi Gold called Creator. Now, I would say if you go to check this out or when you add it to the playlist, give it like 20 seconds because there's kind of like a long intro thing, but then there's going to be like the boom come in thing. And you're like, oh yeah, I could see somebody like walking out of wreckage to this song.
Walking out of wreckage. I'm not going to deny I struggled with this. Part of me wants to say there's a band called Murder by Death, and I really like a song they have called Straight at the Sun, which is very much about like running, escape, like movement, move. But for some reason, the one that keeps playing in my head right now is Warren Zevon.
Okay.
Werewolves of London.
That is kind of a fun, like, that's a happy end of the movie. There's like bouncy piano and you're like, whoo, like wiping your brow. Like, I got out of that.
Right? Like kind of like a good time.
Yeah.
Well, because if you're the final girl, you've escaped. You've made it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
Okay. All right. I was going to say thank you for coming on. Reading these books was definitely an experience.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That I can now say that I have had.
Correct. It just gives you like horror cred.
Yeah, it does.
I would say.
So thank you.
And you had to earn that cred.
15 people have read these sequels.
Yeah.
So we're really part of an elite few.
Yeah.
We're breathing rarefied air.
Yeah.
I'm adding some pins to my lapel for that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, talking to you guys made it worth it. So thank you for having this conversation with me. And thanks for coming on. Where can people find you online?
You can find us at GTTU Pod everywhere on social media. And you can also go to gttupod.com to see what stuff we do. You can find our merch. You can find our Patreon. And yeah, just look for GTTU Pod everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm at The Myth Traveler on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I also, recently, I'm one of the writers behind Blair Witch Experience for Hunt-A-Killer. So if you go to huntakiller.com/Blair Witch, you can get a Hunt-A-Killer box to your door. And I'm one of the people that wrote the story for it and did audio for it. So if you're into horror and stuff, that might be for you.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've seen those advertised. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was fun.
Books in the Freezer is a bi-weekly podcast. We post episodes every other Tuesday. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Books in the Freezer, or send us an email at booksinthefreezer@gmail.com. If you would like to support the podcast, you can check out patreon.com/booksinthefreezer, where there are different perks for different levels of support, including access to the new bonus series, The House at the End of Fear Street, where, yes, we are reading R.L. Stein's YA horror book series, Fear Street, and it has been such a fun ride. If you're looking for a way to show your support without spending money, there are a lot of ways to do that. Posting about the show on social media or leaving a review on a site like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So again, big thank you to all of you who have already taken the time to do that. I'm your host, Stephanie Gagne. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on Books in the Freezer.